Hey, Witches of the Moon. Happy Wednesday. It is Jess Spellbound here. I'm going to stop apologizing for my crappy videos because it, it just is what it is. So, upcoming Samhain, happy Samhain, everybody. I'm going to enjoy myself this holiday and I'm really looking forward to it. So, this week, before we come to a close, so as I've been the last couple videos, I'm painting and I'm just going to keep on painting and keep on talking. So, let me see if I can, yeah, it is what it is. Maybe that way I can see you and you can see me. You can, I don't know if you're interested in paint, but, so this week we're going to be talking about self-initiation versus tradition. And, these are always kind of the harder ones to talk about, I think, because these topics are so personal. There's no right or wrong here, right? It's not like if you decide to do a self-dedication, you're not as good as, or tradition is better, or self-initiation is better. It's all very, personal in how you want your practice to be. So I think it makes it hard to put in an opinion on, the topic. But as usual, I am just going to tell you what I have done and my thought process and why I made the decisions that I did. And hopefully, someone might be able to get a little bit of, a tidbit of something in what I'm saying. So for me, it was self-initiation. That was the path that I chose to take. And that's for a multitude of reasons. There's not just one. It wasn't like, oh, I just don't want to be part of a group or part of a tradition. It was that I really didn't, when I'm sorry, when I started on the, pagan path, as I said in my introductory video, there wasn't a whole lot of information for me, being that I was so young and didn't really know, the right way to go about things. And I think, you know what, it's silly because it's not silly, but I feel the same way even now that I'm older. There are still some times where I'm like, meh, I don't know about that, and go for it or choose not to. But I think that for me, it was much more important for me to have what I believed to be a well rounded, genuine practice for myself, just coming out of Christianity. It was, I just wanted to have some control over how I prayed, who I prayed to. There was very confining for me as a whole, whether it was, um, you know, Catholic, or because I was then baptized again as Baptist. And, so I think that for me, it wasn't really, I really had been turned off of the idea of practicing in a group setting, because I had such a stigma attached to the Catholic Church and the Christian church, Christian churches. Catholic is a Christian church, Baptist churches, born again churches. I kind of ran through the gamut trying to find where I would fit in. Now, I'm not saying that, that any of those are bad or wrong or whatever, to each their own. But for me, in my spiritual belief system, I don't think I need an intermediary between God and myself. Anyway, that's a whole different topic, I think. But I do believe that it is all a personal decision, just like how you practice your magic, what type of magic you practice. I also believe that it is up to you whether you want to go into a tradition or self-dedicate or a self-initiation. Now, I know a lot of the books that I own do have some tidbits on self-initiation and self-dedication, if you will, and different ritual ideas of how to do that. And I think that that is really incredible because it gives you a starting point and then allows you to go from there. So this would have not necessarily dedication wise, but this would have been something that I would have talked about in spell writing tips and tricks, because getting inspiration from another source is a great way to start learning what you're comfortable saying, words that maybe make you feel not so just that maybe you'd go, I don't know, I wouldn't say that word in real life, or whatever. So going through having a book that you can reference and take bits and pieces of and read and go, okay, well, this is where they're heading with this, but I really like this and I don't like this. Let me substitute, blah, blah, blah. I think this is a perfect opportunity and a very good starting off point. Now, I also don't, I don't think that you have to do any type of dedication or initiation right away. It took me years and years and years. And that's because for me, I didn't want to dedicate myself until I had a matron and patron deity. Some people aren't like that. Some people just, you know, um, feel like, well, maybe they need to show that they're serious, and a way to find out. There's a million different ways of looking at it. And if you're doing a self dedication or a self initiation, then you get to be the judge of when is the right time for you to do so. I love, obviously, depending on what your flavor of magic is, what your flavor of paganism is, everybody's going to have different ideas and different suggestions, which is great because then you're going to hear from a lot of different people, and especially in the solitary groups, it's nice to be able to feel some type of community in what we're doing and that we're on the right path. So for me, and my flavor of magic is typically Celtic and Irish and Welsh. So River, oh, my dog is stealing things, assuming I'm too busy to yell at him, which he's wrong. I'm never too busy to yell at a puppy. Rev, he's stealing my daughter's lanyard. And River, sorry. So for me, there's a book. It's called, I had it pulled out, Celtic Women's Spirituality, and that had a really beautiful self-dedication in it, and it had all of these. For me, what really helped me do it was finding literature that had steps to it. So it wasn't just about the dedication. It was the witch's shield. It was all of these components that really made you feel prepared to dedicate yourself to your path. And I think that's really important. I think it's good to have a really great, a really solid understanding of what you're dedicating yourself to, of what your just what you're doing, and the decisions that come along with that, and that it's really not something to be taken lightly, even if it is a self-dedication, because you're dedicating yourself for a reason. And it's not always easy walking a path that is different from what other people do. I know that now, paganism is like, I don't want to say hipster or a fad or a phase, because it seems like we go through this um, boom of paganism, every 10 years or so. So I don't want to say it's anything, I don't want to say anything negative about it, but I've definitely met people who go, "Oh yeah, I'm pagan. I do witchcraft, I read tarot, whatever." And but they don't know what they're talking about. And le- worse than that, they don't know what they're talking about. They're not interested in learning. They're not interested in hearing the you know, I don't want to say the right way, because that's not what I mean. But they're not interested in correspondences, and like, yes, although you get to make a lot of the decisions of how you worship and how you hold ritual and all of these great things, but still at the end of the day, you need to have, just like everybody on the planet needs to have a set of rules of how things are done and why things are done. Paganism, I don't think, is any different than that. We celebrate certain holidays, and if there's no religion to back up your witchcraft, it's just witchcraft. Um, you know, there's no spiritual attachment to it. So it's pretty much a free for all. And my personal opinion, not necessarily a free for all, but it seems to run a bit loose with what people are willing to do. From my experience, I'm not saying everybody's like this at all. I'm just saying, for me, having guidelines of what I believe is right and wrong, and um, knowing my deity and a proper way of showing respect. Now, in a tradition, you're going to get all of that information taught to you. So there's not going to be a whole lot of like this searching for answers, because you're going to learn them in your initiation process. At least I think that's how it's done. I could be totally off base here, because I've never been part of a tradition. So I'm not 100% sure. And please, if you are part of a tradition and I am saying something wrong, I am not doing it to offend you. It is purely out of slight ignorance and maybe a little bit of ignorance, I guess. Uh, but it is not, I'm not saying anything to be offensive or petty. Um, I'm sorry, this paint just isn't sticking to this baby. But I do think that no matter what you choose to do, whether it is self initiation or a tradition, please, 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 please just do your research ahead of time. Like I said, make sure that that you have at least a baseline of your own belief system. And now, if you walk into this or have gone into it or whatever, going, "Ooh, I really want to be in a tradition," and then can't find one in your local area that has something that you believe 110%, don't do it. Don't do it. I don't ever make compromises, because in your brain you go, "Oh, that's what I want to do." And uh, you know, just because you had an idea of what you may want doesn't mean it's always going to work out like that. I would wait until you to join any type of coven or tradition, until you're 100% sure that that's what you're going to do. Because from my knowledge, the other people in that tradition, the other people who are a part of that coven, are really going to rely on you and believe that it's like every member has a purpose. Um, and on the flip side of that, if that's something that really interests you, then wait until you find the right one before you do initiation of any kind, whether it's self-dedication or jumping the gun and joining a tradition that you don't really enjoy. Take the time until you find your perfect match because it's out there, you know? It's out there. It might take some time to find, but it's out there. And there's no reason why you should feel rushed into anything. This is when you do self-dedication or initiation, it's like it's so exciting to learn about something that you love because I can't imagine that somebody who doesn't love their spiritual practice or the prospect of the spiritual practice of being a pagan would not be excited to learn as much as they can and absorb as much knowledge as they possibly can. So for me, it's like enjoy that process. Don't rush it, you know? Savor it, write things down, make books of shadows, make journals, make art journals, make altars, make friends, make a million things. Just enjoy it because this is such a high point of growth. So you don't want to rush it, and you certainly don't want to pick the wrong choice for you. And you don't want anybody to peer pressure you or to tell you one way is better than the other. The I wanted to do the discovery on my own. I didn't want somebody else telling me um, another set of rules and laws and giving me somebody else's belief system. I really wanted to be able to consciously take information and learn and form my own opinions on what that means. So I really just urge you to learn just as much as you can because it is so much fun. And once you get there and you're doing it, and once you are truly committed to being on the path that you're on, it's going to do wonders for your energy raisings at rituals, and you're going to feel so much more invested, and that energy really makes a huge difference. So all right, everybody, good night, happy Samhain, and I will see you all next week. Bye.